AITA for exposing my girlfriend's fake rent before she moved in with another guy? My name is Sam. I'm 29, and for the last 2 years I lived with my girlfriend, Marissa, in a one-bedroom apartment in Nashville that always felt a little too expensive, but still manageable if we both pulled our weight. I work as an operations coordinator for a regional shipping company, which is a fancy way of saying I spend most of my day fixing problems caused by people who swear they sent that email already. I'm not broke, but I'm not exactly swimming in money either, so I track my spending pretty carefully. Marissa used to tease me for having a color-coded budget tab, but she never complained when I paid my half of everything on time. The apartment was hers first. She had been living there before we got serious, in a mid-rise building with a tiny gym nobody used and a package room that always had at least one angry note taped to the wall about a missing Amazon box. After we had been dating about 8 months, I started staying over more often. Then my roommate moved for a job in Chattanooga, and Marissa said it made sense for me to move in. It's basically what we're already doing, she said one night while we were eating tacos from a place down the street. You keep half your stuff here anyway. I loved her, I liked the apartment, and honestly, I liked the idea of building a routine with someone. So I moved in. Since she was already on the lease and had the login for the property management portal, she said she would keep handling the rent. It's $2,400 a month, she told me. So just Venmo me $1,200 by the 1st, and I'll pay the portal. I winced at the number, but rent in Nashville had been getting ridiculous. Every article, every coworker, every random person in line at Kroger seemed to be talking about rising rent and how basic life somehow cost more every week. Splitting $2,400 sounded painful but believable. So every month, I sent Marissa $1,200 through Venmo. Sometimes I wrote April rent, sometimes roof tax. Once I wrote monthly adulting fee, and she replied with a little laughing emoji. We also had a shared Google sheet with tabs labeled rent, utilities, groceries, and random apartment stuff. Utilities were tracked down to the dollar. Internet, electric, water, paper towels, dishwasher pods, groceries after Costco runs. Marissa could be messy with laundry, but she was weirdly precise with that spreadsheet. Rent, though, was always just one line. Sam, $1,200. I didn't question it. That was my first mistake. There were little moments that should have felt stranger than they did. If I asked about the lease renewal, she'd say the portal was annoying and she'd deal with it. If I asked whether we should add my name officially, she'd say it would be a hassle and there was no point because we weren't planning to stay there forever. When I mentioned wanting to save for a better car and maybe a house someday, she'd get quiet or say she was too stressed to talk about long-term plans. Once, when I asked if rent included trash and parking or if those were separate fees, she looked up from her laptop and said, "You don't need to audit me, Sam. I'm your girlfriend, not your accountant." I remember laughing awkwardly because I didn't want to make it a thing. I told myself she was just annoyed. She handled the landlord emails, maintenance requests through the building app, and whatever random notices got taped to our door. She liked being in control of apartment stuff, and I liked not fighting about boring paperwork. Looking back, I confused trust with not verifying anything. The whole thing started unraveling because of a printer. I had to return a pair of shoes that didn't fit, and the printer at my office was down because apparently even office printers have emotional limits. Our apartment printer hated my phone, so Marissa told me to use her laptop while she was getting ready for work. "Just don't close my tabs," she said from the bathroom. I have like 6 things open. Her email was already open when I sat down at the kitchen table. I wasn't digging. I was trying to print a return label before my 9 a.m. call. But right there near the top of her inbox was an email from the property management company. Subject, lease renewal offer $1,750 monthly rate. I stared at $1,750 like maybe the number would rearrange itself if I blinked long enough. I didn't open the email. I printed my return label, closed the printer window, and stepped away from the laptop. But the number followed me all day. I was in a meeting about delayed freight from St. Louis, nodding along while my brain kept repeating $1,750, $1,750, $1,750. That night, we got Thai takeout and ate at the coffee table because the kitchen table had become a pile of mail, chargers, and one of Marissa's half-finished candles. I tried to ask casually. "Hey," I said, poking at my pad CEW. Are they raising rent again this year? Marissa froze for half a second. It was tiny. If I hadn't already seen the email, I might have missed it. Why are you asking that? I was just wondering. Did something happen? No. I mean, renewals are usually around now, right? She put her fork down. I'll deal with it. The portal is annoying, and I already have a bunch of stuff going on. I'm not asking you to deal with it right now. I just wanted to know what the rent is going to be. It's expensive, Sam. Everything is expensive. Do we need to do this tonight? Her tone made my face get hot. Not because she yelled. She didn't. It was more like she was disappointed in me for asking a normal question. So I backed off. Again. After she went to bed, I sat on the couch with my phone and opened Venmo. I scrolled back month by month. $1,200. $1,200. $1,200. 18 months of the same amount, all labeled rent in some form. March rent. Rent plus internet. Roof tax. Sorry, capitalism. Little receipts from a lie, sitting there like nothing was wrong. Then I opened the Google sheet. Utilities were exact. $62.14. $89.27. $41.50. Groceries were split neatly. Target runs were broken into apartment supplies versus personal stuff. But rent never showed the total. It never said $2,400 anywhere. Just my payment. The next morning, I asked her directly, "Can you show me the lease renewal?" She was standing by the counter pouring coffee into a travel mug. Why? Because I live here and pay rent here. You pay me rent. I pay the apartment. Right? So can I see what the apartment is charging? Her mouth tightened. I don't have time for this before work. Then tonight. Maybe. Marissa. She slammed the lid onto her mug. Not hard enough to break anything, but hard enough to make the point. This is exactly why I didn't want to talk finances with you. You turned everything into an interrogation. I let her leave. I wanted to argue, but something in me went very still. I knew if I pushed right then, she'd turn it into a fight about my tone instead of the number. So I waited until lunch and called the property management office. Mr. Alvarez, the property manager, answered like a man who had heard every possible apartment drama and wanted no part of any of them. I explained that I lived in Unit 6B with Marissa, that I was not the leaseholder, but that I had been contributing rent for almost 2 years. I told him I understood he couldn't send me private documents, but I needed to confirm the monthly rental rate because I believed there might be a serious discrepancy. He was cautious at first. I can't discuss the full lease terms with someone who isn't on the lease, he said. I understand, I said. I can send proof that I live there. Mail, my ID address, Venmo payments marked rent, whatever you need. I'm not asking for her personal information. I'm asking what the unit's monthly rent is. There was a long pause. I heard a keyboard clicking. Finally, he said, I can confirm the current monthly rate for that unit is $1,750. It has not been $2,400 during your listed occupancy. My hand actually went numb around the phone. Never. I asked. No, sir. Not according to our records. I thanked him, hung up, and sat in my car in the parking lot behind my office staring at the steering wheel. Half of $1,750 was $875. I had been paying $1,200. That meant Marissa had been taking an extra $325 from me every month just on rent. Over 18 months, that was $5,850. That didn't count the times she said utilities were higher and asked me to round up, or the random building fees she mentioned once or twice when I was too tired to question her. I wanted there to be an explanation. I really did. Maybe parking was separate. Maybe there were fees I didn't know about. Maybe the lease renewal showed a discounted rate that hadn't started yet. I kept trying to build her defense in my head because the alternative made me feel ridiculous. That night, I waited until after dinner. We had leftover chili, and she was scrolling TikTok with one foot tucked under her on the couch. The apartment looked normal. Her fuzzy socks were on the floor. My work bag was by the door. A candle called pumpkin chai was burning on the TV stand even though it was May. It made the whole thing feel even more surreal. I talked to Mr. Alvarez today, I said. She looked up slowly. Why would you do that? Because you wouldn't show me the lease. Her face changed then. Not guilt exactly. More like irritation that I had gone off script. He confirmed the rent is $1,750, I said. So why have I been paying you $1,200 a month? She stood up and grabbed the remote, then put it down again. You called my landlord behind my back? Our landlord. I live here. You are not on the lease. No, because you told me it wasn't worth adding me. Answer the question. She crossed her arms. I handled everything around here. The portal, the emails, maintenance, utilities, all of it. You have no idea how much work that is. I'm not asking about vibes. I'm asking where the money went. Seriously, Sam. You're making a big deal over nothing. Nothing is $5,850. Her eyes flicked away. That was the first time I knew she had already done the math. You benefited from living here, she said. You would have paid more somewhere else. That's not how splitting rent works. Couples don't nickel and dime each other. You charged me fake rent. I carried the mental load. You can call it mental load if you want. I call it lying about rent. She laughed once, sharp and ugly. This is why money with you is impossible. You make everything so sensitive. I almost lost it then. My throat got tight, and I could feel that shaky anger in my chest where you either yell or walk away. I chose to walk into the kitchen and get a glass of water. I needed 30 seconds where I wasn't looking at her. That's when her phone lit up on the coffee table. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The preview was right there. Tasha, did Derek sign yet, or are you still waiting to tell Sam? I didn't know who Derek was yet, but I knew my life had just split into before that text and after it. Marissa saw me looking at the phone. She snatched it up so fast, she almost dropped it. Who's Derek? I asked. Nobody. That didn't sound like nobody. You're literally watching my notifications now. It popped up while I was standing here. She held the phone against her chest like I was trying to take it. This is what I mean. This controlling thing. You don't even see it. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I just found out you've been overcharging me for rent for a year and a half, and now there's a guy named Derek signing something before you tell me. But I'm controlling. She didn't answer. She went into the bedroom and shut the door. I slept on the couch that night. Or tried to. Mostly I stared at the ceiling fan and felt every month rearrange itself in my head. Every time she had said she was stressed about money. Every time I skipped buying something for myself because I wanted to keep my savings on track. Every time she teased me for budgeting while taking extra money behind my back. The next morning she acted cold but normal, like we had just had a regular argument. She left for work without saying goodbye. I worked from home that day. Around noon, her tablet started buzzing on the kitchen counter. It was one of those old iPads she used for recipes and watching shows while cooking. I wasn't snooping through it. It was unlocked, propped up next to the fruit bowl, and messages kept appearing across the screen while I was making coffee. Tasha again. I saw enough words to make my stomach drop all over again. Exit fund. Landing pad. Derek's place. Sam still doesn't know? Then one from Marissa appeared as a banner from earlier in the thread sinking late. He thinks he's paying rent, but honestly I deserve it for putting up with him. I stepped back like the tablet was hot. I didn't scroll. I didn't open anything. I took a photo of the screen from where it sat because those messages were visible in my kitchen, in my apartment, about my money. Then I left and drove to my sister Jenna's place. Jenna is 30, and she has the kind of calm that makes you feel both comforted and slightly judged. She opened the door, took one look at me, and said, "Who died?" "Possibly my relationship," I said. I told her everything at her kitchen table while her dog kept dropping a rubber carrot at my feet. I expected Jenna to tell me to confront Marissa harder. Instead, she got very quiet and held out her hand. "Give me your phone." "Why?" "Because you are going to screenshot everything before you let your feelings drive the bus." So we did. Venmo history. The Google Sheet. My email to Mr. Alvarez and his reply, which he sent after our call. As discussed, I can confirm the monthly rental rate for Unit 6B is $1,750. I cannot provide additional lease documentation to non-leaseholders. The photo of the tablet notifications. The lease renewal subject line I had seen, which I could only describe because I had not opened it or saved it. "Do not yell," Jenna said. Screenshot. "I want to know who Derek is." "You probably will, but not by spiraling in front of her. She's been telling people I'm controlling." "Then don't give her a dramatic scene to clip and pass around. Give her consequences." That line stuck. For 2 days, I barely spoke to Marissa. I told her I wasn't paying another bill until I knew what it actually cost. She called that financial punishment. I called it not handing money to someone who had already lied about what it was for. On the second day, Tasha messaged me on Instagram. Tasha and I weren't close, but I knew her from Marissa's friend group and trivia nights. Her message was short. Hey, I think I need to tell you something. I didn't know the rent part was fake. We talked on the phone that night while I sat in my car outside Jenna's apartment. Tasha sounded nervous and embarrassed. Marissa told us you were really controlling about money, she said. Like, that you monitored what she bought and made her ask before spending. I've never had access to her bank account, I said. I know that now. She said she was saving for a safe exit because you made it hard for her to leave. With my rent money? Tasha went quiet. Then she said, she didn't phrase it like that. Over the next hour, she sent screenshots. Not the entire group chat, just the parts about me. I sat there reading them with the air conditioner blasting and my stomach twisting. Marissa had written, he's so proud of being responsible. Meanwhile, he's basically funding my landing pad. Another message said, Derek thinks I'm being so brave and independent. I mean, I am, but Sam's rent helps LOL. Then there was the one that made me stop breathing for a second. Once Derek signs, I'll tell Sam. Or maybe I'll just let him figure it out. He deserves confusion after how draining he is. Tasha added, I thought she meant you were actually mistreating her. I didn't realize she was taking extra money from you. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to defend myself to everyone immediately. Part of me wanted to crawl out of my own skin from humiliation. It is a special kind of awful to realize someone you loved had turned you into a villain in a story you didn't know was being told. Jenna helped me stay focused. She made me call a tenant rights clinic instead of doing something unwise. The woman on the hotline was practical. Since I wasn't on the lease, she said my best option was to move out safely, preserve my proof, change my mailing address, and pursue the overcharged amount separately if I wanted to. She told me small claims was more realistic than trying to turn the apartment into a battlefield. That clarified everything. Winning didn't mean keeping the apartment. Winning meant leaving without letting her take one more dollar. I stopped my automatic transfers. I changed passwords to anything Marissa might have known. I moved my important documents, passport, social security card, and spare car key to Jenna's place. I bought boxes from Home Depot and rented a small U-Haul van for a Friday afternoon when Marissa had a full shift and then drinks with coworkers after. Jenna came with me. So did her boyfriend, who didn't ask questions and just carried boxes like a quiet saint. Packing was strange. I expected to feel dramatic. Instead, I felt focused. My desk came apart faster than I thought it would. My clothes fit into 4 trash bags and 2 suitcases. My coffee maker, the good pan my mom gave me, my books, my work monitor, my little basket of cables, all of it went into the van. I left anything that was clearly hers. I didn't break anything. I didn't take anything we had bought together unless I had the receipt or it was obviously mine. By 4:30, my side of the apartment was gone. The place looked smaller without my stuff in it, like the lie had been taking up square footage. On the kitchen counter, I left a folder. Inside was a printout of Mr. Alvarez's email confirming the rent, my Venmo payment history, screenshots of the Google Sheet, a simple calculation of the overcharge, and copies of Tasha's screenshots where Marissa joked about using my money for her landing pad. I didn't write a long emotional letter. I knew she would only pick it apart. I wrote one sentence on a sticky note and put it on top. I'm not paying one more dollar into a lie. Then I sent a message to Derek. Tasha had given me his last name after I asked once. I didn't threaten him. I didn't insult Marissa. I didn't call him names. I kept it plain. Hey Derek, you don't know me, but I'm Sam, Marissa's boyfriend. I'm not asking you to take my side. I'm sending this so you know what money built the plan she sold you before you signed anything with her. She told me our rent was $2 for 100 and had me send $1, $200 a month. The actual rent is $1. $7.50. Attached are the rent confirmation, my Venmo payments, and messages showing she planned to move in with you using the extra money. Do what you want with it, but you should know what you're actually walking into. I attached the proof and hit send before I could overthink it. Marissa got home around 7:15. I know because that's when the call started. The first voicemail was pure anger. Are you serious right now? You moved out like a coward and left some strange folder on the counter? You had no right to embarrass me. The second one came 7 minutes later. You misunderstood everything. I was going to talk to you. You always jump to the worst possible conclusion. Then a text. Where are you? Then, we need to discuss this like adults. Then another voicemail, shakier. Couples help each other, Sam. That money was still going toward our life. You're acting like I took from you. I stared at that one for a while. Then I blocked her for the night because I knew nothing useful would happen after 8 p.m. with both of us angry. Derek messaged me the next morning. Hey, I read everything. I need to be honest. She told me a completely different story. I waited before answering. My hands were shaking, and I hated that they were shaking. He sent another message. She said you controlled the money and she was saving on her own to get out. She said you made her feel trapped. I didn't know any of this was coming from you. I replied, I figured she told you something like that. He wrote back, I'm sorry. I believed her. I'm not signing anything with someone who starts a life with me by lying to someone else. That was the twist Marissa hadn't planned for. Derek wasn't some calculating bad guy. He was a guy who liked feeling like he was helping someone escape a bad relationship. He had believed her because she gave him a story where he got to be the safe place. Once he saw the receipts, the whole thing collapsed. Marissa figured that out fast. By noon, she was calling from a different number. I let it go to voicemail. Please call me before Derek does something impulsive, she said. You don't understand what you've done. I needed a safe exit because of how you act about money. I saved that voicemail too. A few mutual friends reached out over the next week. Not all of them apologized. Some just got very quiet, which told me enough. One guy from trivia texted, Marissa said you're trying to cause her serious trouble over rent. Is that true? I sent him one screenshot. 18 months of $1,200 payments labeled rent next to the property manager's confirmation of $1,750. He replied, oh, that was it. Honestly, oh felt better than a speech. Tasha distanced herself from Marissa after that. She told me she felt used, too, because Marissa had turned their group chat into an audience for a fake escape story. I didn't ask her to take sides. I didn't need a campaign. Proof did what arguing never could. It turns out people are a lot less eager to call you controlling when they can see 18 months of receipts. The apartment stayed in Marissa's name. The rent was still due. Only now there were no extra Venmo deposits from me, no Derek signing a new lease with her, and no clean little story about how she was bravely starting over. I heard through Tasha that Marissa tried to tell people I had financially abandoned her. That didn't land the way she wanted it to. I filed in small claims for the overcharged amount. I didn't make dramatic threats. I didn't say she was facing legal trouble. I just printed the forms, attached the evidence, and asked for the difference between what I paid and what half the rent actually was. I included the months I could clearly prove and left out anything fuzzy because I wanted the case to be boring and solid. When Marissa got served, she unblocked herself from whatever new number she was using and sent me a long message about how court would be humiliating for both of us. I replied once, I'll accept a written repayment plan for the proven overcharge. Dates and amounts. No phone call. She tried to call anyway. I didn't answer. 2 days later, she emailed me a partial repayment offer. It wasn't everything, but it was real money with dates attached. Jenna looked it over and said, good. You don't need her to cry. You need her to pay. So that's what I took. A written agreement. Monthly payments. No emotional meeting. No final conversation where she got to explain why lying was complicated and my reaction was the real problem. I moved into a smaller studio near my office. It is not fancy. The water pressure is terrible, and my upstairs neighbor walks like he is personally angry at the floor. My couch barely fits, and the first week I ate dinner standing at the counter because I hadn't bought a table yet. But every bill has my name on it. Every payment is real. When the electric company emails me, I see it. When rent is due, I pay the portal myself. My budget spreadsheet is still color-coded, and nobody is laughing at it while secretly depending on it. I'm embarrassed that I missed the signs. I'm angry that I let the fear of seeming suspicious stop me from asking basic questions. But I'm also relieved. Relieved I found out before marriage, before shared debt, before a lease with both our names on it, before she had more time to turn my trust into her savings plan. I used to think love meant not asking questions because questions sounded like doubt. Now I think love is being able to ask a normal question and not get punished for it. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.